This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones. Hello, mate. You are back in the land of the free from the trip to the Republic. How are you? Are you recovered?
How's it, man? I was walking on the Sea Point Promenade, which was a wonderful walk. I would highly advise you to do it on your next trip on the 8-9 Combo budget. And I was listening to some music. It was actually Walk in the Wind by David Bowie. And the waves were crashing into the walls. And to my left was Signal Hill and Lion's Head. And it was a great day. And I was enjoying it. It was post the win, the round 2 win on the rematch. And the gentleman tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Are you Harry?" And he and his wife were excited to meet me. And he said this to me. He said, "You're the funniest YouTuber in the world." And then it was very awkward because then I had to this. I don't know if you've ever been introduced to people as really funny. I have a lot of times in my life, and they go, "And now what do I say that's even remotely funny?"
So
I said, I was thinking of something really funny when you interrupted me, and now I've lost that thing forever. Which made his woman laugh. So that was interesting. But nice guys, and it was interesting to walk around and get tapped on the shoulder a lot. And also found it kind of a bit disconcerting in the airports, for example, when I just wanted to change shoes and be barefoot and change shoes. I didn't want to do that because people were taking pictures of me. Look at this Duis taking his shoes off and Oliver Tambo.
YouTube media sensation Harry Jones spotted taking shoes off in a public airport.
Yes, the paparazzi.
Very good, very good. Here's cheers, mate. What are we giving cheers to around the rugby world this weekend?
Yeah, in the 17th century, when the Dutch made a colony of the Cape, there was a beautiful slope, Signal Hill, that was actually given to people to live in that were forced to be there from Java, from Ceylon, Indonesia, Malaysia, and they formed the Cape Malay community. So this group of people living there as slaves were freed in 1834 when the British came in and emancipated. And up until that time in 1834, every single house in Bo-Kaap, which is above Cape, had to be painted white by regulation. You could never deviate from that. So in 1834, it was freed, and a fantastic, fantasia of colors: pink, green, bright purple was what they chose to.
You've sent me some photos.
Yeah, to adorn, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. It's the best food in Cape Town. We always liked it because post-hike off Signal Hill or like in a champagne breakfast, we'd rock in there and your greasy samosas,
cool.
Beautiful brady,
vibrant.
bapoti, roti. It's the best, best curry, and friendliest people, hard, resilient, and a microcosm of a different community that we call Cape Malay. And
sorry, mate. Just for our podcast listeners, jump on the YouTube because I'm displaying some images that Harry has taken of the Bo-Kaap area, and the colors of the buildings is just the most vibrant greens and reds and pinks that you've ever seen. It looks so cool.
It's almost unbelievable.
Mate, continue.
Yeah, so I went there for dinner, Base, the kitchen up high, great views, and then the Stormers brought out their strip for the year, and there's the home is this beautiful homage to the blue and white hoops, one of the iconic jerseys in the world. But one of the away strips is this interesting green with pink stripes, and it's literally Bo-Kaap.
There it is.
And that's really what it is. So anyone kind of going, "Oh, is it Highlanders or Harlequins?" It's actually an incredible paean to part of the city. Like Hashim Peed, one of the great young players, number 9, Baby Box. He's from Bo-Kaap. And so here are some of the players posing in front of that image.
In front of those buildings. Yeah, it looks so cool. It's a great, very great
cool
reveal.
Tip of the cap for a neighborhood that's never had things easy. They've always been hard scrabbling battlers and love their rugby. It's a Muslim neighborhood. Salman Murat, the captain of the Stormers, is from that same community, and for me, it's just a splendid use of uniform.
It's really cool. It's really cool. It looks great. And interesting that the jersey file in me says, "Ooh, they've gone back to Adidas." That's really interesting. and I can completely agree that the new home strip for the Stormers is a throwback to Western Province. It looks great. Black shorts, the whole thing looks fantastic. So no, I love it. I will take one in a large, please.
I think the black shorts is the key to that. As
well.
Agree. Yeah, instead of the blue.
That's the proper tie-in to WP. I'm giving cheers, mate, to Wallaby number 992, Corey Toole. And I don't mind admitting and repeating, because I said this in the post-mortem, that I was a skeptic. I wasn't sure that his natural game would translate to international rugby, because the space that he thrives on just is not there. But thrive he did in Cape Town, and now there's just no reason not to pick him. He was absolutely outstanding for the Wallabies. I'm really, really happy for him. A quiet young guy from Wagga out in the Riverina of New South Wales. Lovely young guy, and just deserves all the plaudits coming his way, and deserves to erase my skepticism. So thumbs up, Corey. Well done.
Got to assuming I saw him with his parents. I mean, there was a man and a woman of a certain age, and he was hanging out with them on the pitch. About 45 minutes after final whistle, and beaming. Just had his official cap on.
That's so cool.
And it was a great moment. I love the tour, the aspect of some of the families of the Wallabies, because they stick out, obviously, because they got Wallaby gears on, and also I think they can almost enjoy the moment better. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fun to
cool.
watch.
It's a good thing to share. Absolutely. We'll launch into another great rugby chat in just a second. But first, mate, please tell the nice people why we would love them very much to subscribe to the 8-9.
Because I just went around the world for you guys. I circumnavigated.
Also, I did
Sir
the Lions
Francis
tour.
fucking Drake, man. Let's
there is
some money.
The whole concept of the 8-9 combo travel budget is gone. There is nothing in it now between you and I this year.
It's all crypto, mate.
It's all crypto. If you are watching us on YouTube, then the red subscribe button down there in the corner is what you need to hit. And if you're on the pod platforms, then hit like, hit follow, hit subscribe, however you need to, and make sure that you don't miss any of this. Game as an Australian commentator is the highs and lows have been all too often surrounded by way too many lows and way too much despair and anguish. But this has been different. This year is a different feel about the Wallabies. And so amidst all the great messages that come my way in recent times, I couldn't help but think of the guy that rides the Wallabies ups and downs so publicly. Sean Maloney, welcome back to the 8-9. Hello, mate.
Shorty.
Fellas, it's different circumstances, isn't it, that we get to catch up with one another. It is off the back of a resurgent run of Wallabies performances. Life is good at the moment. Little Sealsy's on board, aren't you, bud?
Oh, how good. Little Seals. Hello. Another little hairy friend of the pod.
Great. It's the dog show. I hear dogs in my ears. I see a dog. It's just all going on.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what. It was a dog dangling afternoon in Cape Town. It looked like it, Harry, from back here. I still can't believe the amount of points we got on the board, given how drenched Cape Town was and how awful that stadium's field was. It was diabolical.
Yeah, it was shaved. Someone decided to shave the turf, and then you had the water runs on top, but also underneath, because it's all running to the sea. And it just was absolutely, as in Rossi's words, dog shit. I was able to catch up with Captain Harry Wilson, not playing on the day before, on pitch side. He walked up to me and he just said, "The pitch is fucked." And that was his pronouncement. Yeah.
It just looked, even, and we said in the post-mortem, even through the warm-ups, and you would have seen it too, Sean, that it looked like a bad night at the new football stadium after there's been 2 NRL games the days before. It looked horrible.
But guys, it did lead to 2 really important bounces for the Wallabies. One led to a try because Hayden Moody, it just went exactly the wrong way, and another one dropped into Taniela Tupou's lap and allowed him to do one of the world's weirdest clearing kicks. Cheslin Colby chipped it, and it had to go to the left, and somehow it went against gravity into Tupou's arms, and he He had about 2-meter kick to exit. It was awesome.
In cricket parlance, when we play around one that moves, we just say it hit a rock, and it looks like the ball hit a lot of rocks that day. Yeah. Tell me, Shawnee, how does one massive result like Ellis Park change the way you guys cover a team and cover the Wallabies?
Well, mate, I reckon it was more like if we go back, so we talk about big results, we go back to not to Argentina, if we go back to England last year, Twickenham. So I saw the power of a big result there last year in a similar situation, early hours of the morning. All of a sudden people are going, whoa, all right, the spring tour's off and going, we beat England. Are you kidding? So I got a taste of it last year on that spring tour. But then off the back of how well they played in the Lions series, and then to roll, I mean, I don't need to go over the history with you guys, and I know the 8-9 listeners all know it inside out, but to go and do what they did in the manner in which they did it, I think is one of the reasons why people are so hooked into that result. And I have been stopped. You talk about being stopped on the waterfront at Cape Town, Harry. I have been stopped so many times by people I've never met before who've just wanted to share the experience of either being up with us at 1 o'clock in the morning to go on that fucking wild roller coaster ride, or had woken up to a barrage of text messages from people they haven't heard from in multiple years saying, you have to watch the highlights. So that is now, fellas, just to give you a bit of background, it's the most watched bit of sporting content in the history of Stan. VOD, live, like the highlights, the replays. Previous to that, it was we had the World Cup that got superseded World Cup by Wallabies England, and now this is number one by a stretch.
Wow. Awesome. And so I can imagine in that terms, there's the live number, and then the video on demand just blows that out. That's incredible, isn't it?
But you're not, Harry, if you wake up in the morning, mate, and you haven't watched that game, but people are telling you it's the greatest game of all time, you're probably not watching the highlights. Say, like, you need to be on that journey from the opening whistle.
Yeah. That's what made the game so strange. It was literally where both sets of fandoms kind of were like, what just happened? It was, we did a show where Rian and I were recounting all the ways we were wrong in the first 30 minutes. And it made me, it was very amusing and painful for us.
Which people absolutely need to go and absolutely find that one on YouTube, because watching these two remember the ways that they were wrong was absolutely
They don't know
hilarious
how to use Harry Wilson. They're so stupid. And then Harry Wilson's running wild. And I thought the Wallaby, so there's a species of Wallaby fan that turned it off. They were so disgusted. And then someone had to call them and go, no, trust me.
No,
go back on.
Go back on. Yeah.
The thing was, I mean, Brett, if we go back, like, they didn't even play that badly in that first 22, in those first 20 minutes. No. It's just that South Africa was so good. I mean, they were flawless from the opening box kick from Grant Williams. They were perfection for the opening quarter.
It was basically perfect rugby for 20 minutes. And I've said several times, the biggest surprise for me at 22-0 or whatever it was at that point was that the Wallabies had 30% possession, because it didn't feel like it.
You were thinking it was like 5%.
If I had to guess, I would have guessed closer to 5% than 30% for sure.
But to me, the reason why I like it so much for Australian rugby is I felt like it was a victory of the spirit. It was like so many other teams would have been so demoralized, because really it could have been 35 by the end of that first half, and they just didn't hang their head. And that's got to be something around Schmidt and Laurie Fisher and these guys. There's Jeff Parling and Harry Wilson. There's leadership there where, I mean, you go back a year that Argentina spanking the Wallabies in Argentina. I don't think, I'm not going to say this, but I don't think that can happen to the Wallabies right now. They just don't seem to be made that fragile.
There is not enough wood in my office for me to touch right now.
Do you know what, Harry? That is such a. I'll validate that comment of yours, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this. But I was speaking to Dan Herbert, Wallabies legend, and now where he is with RA, and we were having a chat walking through Brisbane earlier in the year, and just trying to get a feel for where everything was. And he had mentioned, because he's been a part of it previously, when you're rebuilding a team or you've started in rubble and you're working your way up, the fluctuations can be really significant in terms of results. So you might jag a beauty like they did in Argentina last year in that first game in the wet, and the next week they lose by 60. He said it's just about narrowing that gap over time. And I think it is irrefutable now that gap has been closed up almost to that tipping point where we're going to get more W's than we do L's.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what we can hope for.
Yeah.
One of the great viral moments out of the win, mate, and this will make you uncomfortable. I'm sorry to do it. I've cut it down. It's not as long as it has been on out on the net. It's your call of Tom Wright's try, and I'm gonna hit play on this. We're gonna be able to talk over it.
Yeah,
it's.
Can we just?
So what people need to realise is that you guys are calling this from a studio in Sydney. You're obviously not in Johannesburg.
Yeah, no, we weren't. So, and I understand it because the costs are so significant getting to South Africa. But this is like the famous painting of the dogs playing poker. We've got Hoops is there, like excited but not over the top. Michael Revel, who is, you talk about like long-suffering Waratahs Wallabies fans. That man is the most diehard fan you have ever met in your life. He loves both those teams. And
are you taking a knee?
Loves both those teams. He's dead. Morgs has come straight from a 007 James Bond theme party. He's ready to start playing. He's ready to start playing baccarat or poker against some kind of a villain. He'd been at a charity night for his kids' school with his lovely wife, Alyssa. So there's just so much shit going on inside that minute. So to give it context, so I obviously repeated Tom Wright's name 3 times on the way through there. And the reason is I'm trying to buy time because I don't know where on the field he is because of the camera cuts, right? So what you're seeing at home, I'm seeing in the studio as well. So we've got identical pictures. You watching on Stan, me in the studio. I don't have some fancy magical feed coming out of Ellis Park that I get to lean onto. So we're all on the same boat there. So that's why I'm buying time, trying to work out there's got to be cover there somewhere. There is no way you can take it 60 to seal the most improbable win in probably Wallabies history. Went down by 22 in that venue. So that's why there's that repetition of that. And then at the end, guys, like it was just such a surge of dopamine and adrenaline and endorphins that just traveled from sort of the base of my spine all the way up it, and it hit me in that beautiful spot right at the back of your skull, and it just coursed through me, and it was in every way, shape, and form fucking ecstasy. It was good.
It's that's the bit that gets me. It literally flattens you. You are on your knees, head down on the desk.
Takes a knee.
And you don't look up at Morgan Turanui to say you need to start talking here because I've got nothing right now. But but Morgs and Michael Hooper are looking at you. They can see what you've gone through, and they just let it go. They let the silence linger, and I love that. The great broadcasters know when you let that moment ride, and then Morgs comes in and just says his words so beautifully, and even he gives it a little bit of space, a bit of air, and it's just I love that for so many different reasons because of what it means physically for you, but as well the broadcasting craft in it. The reactions are real, as you say. You're reacting to the same thing we're seeing. It's throwbacks to Max Jorgensen's try at Twickenham, where you've said the same thing to us. Surely there's cover there. Surely he's not going to score this.
Yes,
and it is absolute ecstasy.
So,
It looks
so
very
good.
physical, Shawnee, too. Like
It
you're the
is
most
physical,
physical
absolutely.
commentator in world rugby. Like it's
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know that we've spoken multiple times now, but I worked with a voice coach a number of years ago named Donnie Woodburn, who said to me that you should feel like you've played a game of rugby after you've commentated it. You should be riding it. You should be gesticulating as much as they do on a field. So if they're pointing left, you should be pointing left. Or if they swerve left, low, you should be moving your body in line with the ball and the plays. That's how you should do it, because then it drives energy, and it drives, for want of a better description, like it drives emotion without trying to drive emotion, if that makes sense. So so that's why we were so into it. But you're right, Brett. Morgs encapsulated it beautifully. I think he said it's an improbable dream brought to reality in the most unbelievable fashion, which was just fucking so pure. Like it was so good, so well articulated. And to be there with Hoops, I mean, has anyone given more in terms of body, mind, and soul to Australian rugby in the last 14 years of Michael Hooper? I would argue no. Honestly, I would argue no. So for him to be able to enjoy that in the next best thing, the next best place to be on the field, in a commentary box, I think that's just the rugby guys going, you know what, Hoops, you deserve this. You know what, Morgs, you deserve this habit. You know what, Australian fans, you all deserve something to be able to remember years from now, because I reckon that's the sort of game that people will not forget.
No way. It's too weird. It's unreplicable. That's a word.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. How do you? I mean, that clip went out like the next day. When that starts doing the rounds, and it did laps and laps and laps of the rugby world, are you spinning between this is really cool and oh god, I hate watching this?
There's a little. Yeah, that's a good question. There's a little bit of that, and I just need to clarify as well that we did not know that camera was on until afterwards. When we had no idea. So I was walking out of the studio, and they were playing it back out of EVS, which is the tapes machine, to a monitor so they could capture it for the digital team, or for between two posts. They thought Trav might have wanted it for between two posts, which we ended up using. So I had no idea. None of us had any idea until I was walking. I was like, oh, cool. And then on you go. And you kind of go like that because you think, how's this going to be received? And, people are going to tee off, because people always tee off. You can't win. We all know that. You can't win. So knowing that you can't win, you kind of can be reluctant to sort of lead with everything, because that's a really private space, as I said, we did not know that camera was on, and you are into it. Space. And I'm dressed like I'm off to do yoga. And as I said, Morgs is dressed for 007, and Hoops just looks cool because Hoops always looks cool. So there's that side of things. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, this is me. Like, I'm not going to change. This is how I do it. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And remarkably, the positivity around it was so overwhelmingly with a little green tick next to it. I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's nice. I was like, thank you. Like, that's really cool. Thank you to everyone who thought it was all right. It was really nice. It was a really awesome 24, 36 hours.
It was. It really was. Has that win? Did that win change the way you prepared for Cape Town? Like did your own or did Stan's narrative around the Wallabies change in that instant?
Oh, that's a good question. Look, Harry, can you give me some idea as to what it was like on the ground over there as I conjure my answer? Was there a nervousness around the South Africans? Because all we heard from this side was, oh, they're going to be breathing fire. Oh, they're so mad. We're a mad country. Oh, was there an expectation that they'd win easy?
It was tense. So I did run into Rossi after the second match, and holding a beer in sort of off by ourselves talking. And I said, you were relieved. I saw you walking before the match, and you were a man alone on the turf. And he said, it doesn't matter what we've won in the past. That the knives would have been out. And I said, absolutely. George Regan walks up at this, right after that, and we have a good chat together. And Rossi says, it's a proper team. Their breakdown is rugged, robust. They pumped us sometimes. He said, I was staring. I mean, he didn't say this word, but I was staring at the abyss. because you cannot lose 2 at home to the Wallabies as a Springbok coach and not face
as number one in the world.
Severe you could even be something else. You just cannot do it. It's like the All Blacks, losing 2 at home to somebody. It's
even what they're facing
time.
Now. Yeah.
There was a palpable sense of nervousness because the weather, we thought that's going to equalize things too. We watched the monsoon game. We go, the Wallabies are like a wet weather team. The third thing is we had 10 changes. What else? We'll talk to your question, Shawnee. I saw some Wallabies in the Joburg version, and that was a different Wallaby. And Newlands, Claremont, Kells and Nick Champion de Cressme walking around, finding a bottle shot. Everyone's cool. They had no pressure. And so the danger was what's Tom Wright and Corey Toole and Max Jorgensen to be like when they have no pressure? Maybe it'll be even worse.
When they have complete freedom.
Yeah, I think everything was heightened, and the Cape Town Stadium was full with maximum prices. We wanted blood, we wanted retaliation, and we also were thinking, but we might not get it. So the stage was set.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's very similar in line with how we covered it as well. Where it was like, we're a slugger's chance. We've already landed, a knockdown in the first round. If we double up and knock them out for good, then that'd be terrific. But no one is ahead of themselves because we know that is an idiotic approach to take in previous years. But similarly, Brett, I will say this, there was no, we're going to get him again, but there was not a single man or woman attached to the broadcast in any area, production, producing, directing, talent or host that didn't think that none of us thought we'd get steamrolled. Not one person. One person thought
and that's the change.
The betting line was 13.5. Everyone was like, we're not going to get clipped because yes, they're going to come out fired up, but why would we not be fired up? What have we not done enough in those previous 2 games? Remembering they beat the British and Irish Lions, you cannot tell me the Lions weren't all out, especially in that first half. We held them scoreless. We held the British and Irish Lions scores for 40 minutes and then did what we did at Ellis Park. So there'll be no blowout. They'll have a crack. And as Hoops really well highlighted was, he said there'll be parts of the Wallabies game where they'll be filthy with themselves that they left points in the bin in Ellis Park that they'll be trying to refine for this week. They'll be dark on themselves for certain areas of the game. So there was no expectation of win. There was a sluggish chance, but there also certainly was a real resolve that this will not be a blowout.
Yeah. The best line that I've read in the last 10 days about this is actually Ben Pobji on the Raw, Harry, and he wrote that great piece that basically said it literally doesn't matter what the Wallabies do from here because on a night in August in Johannesburg, they beat the Springboks at Ellis Park. Nothing else matters now. That can never be taken away, and it's so true. It just changes everything.
Yeah, that's the way sport is, though. That's that huge a result. Just like if the Boks go to Eden Park and beat the All Blacks in fine fashion, then that for us will be like, okay, so then hopefully we put Ellis Park into a footnote, but not for the Wallabies because the context matters. The past 4 years matters.
Yeah.
You guys have been walking over broken glass and thorns and people throwing stuff at you. And so this was majestic. I also thought going in, Shawnee, our lineout's been a shambles all season. And Nick Frost, with tutelage of Jeff Parling, lifted by Will Skelton to form the tallest chain of humans in the world.
It's like one of those South American towers of men climbing up each other.
Right. That was very scary. And I stood next to Victor Matfield and I just said this, hey man, Victor, what's up with our lineout? He goes, chaotic. And then I saw that we had 2 guys going up, lifted by the same guy. It didn't work. So he tried to lift Archias Neyman and Norwich at the same time. And then there was a very comical scene where Kwaka Smith tries to lift Louis de Jager solo. Nick Frost is about 7 feet above him. So we worried about the technical aspect there, and we also worried about this idea that the Wallaby was getting more confident, and the Bok was losing confidence. And we thought this confluence could be trouble in Cape Town. But for us, gratefully we won it. I just thought the Wallabies who were on hand, just so you know, there was a contingent they were just so happy. Just like I thought it was. They were proud. Johnny, you and I were at Lyon together, and it was that drag, horrible. People just kind of going apologizing almost. And here was that goal, that really cool looking gold on the field and in the stands, and it's got to be good. And now the championship is alive. Right?
It absolutely
How good is 1-1-1-1-1? Everyone's won.
Absolutely. Well, it's worth touching on that because the results in Argentina mean that that's the table right now. New Zealand 6, Australia 5, South Africa 4, Argentina 4. Everyone is 1-1, all because of a weekend of results that just has flipped everything on its head. And so, I mean, the questions come up already a bit in the last week, but this feels like it's the tightest rugby championship we can remember after 2 rounds already.
It's got to be.
Yeah, and with two history-making moments along the way already.
Yes, absolutely.
Argentina never beaten New Zealand in Argentina. We hadn't beaten South Africa over there in 60-odd years. So it's nuts. I tell you what, I mean, I just looking at that ladder and just seeing that result, Argentina over New Zealand, I cannot believe why or how the All Blacks are in the crosshairs of pretty much everyone in New Zealand.
Yes.
I don't understand why you can't just watch that game and go, how good are Argentina?
Argentina were really good.
How brilliant were every single man in the sky blue and white of Argentina with 60,000 in Buenos Aires behind them. Like they were, I don't care what you say, they would have beaten any team in the world on the weekend playing the way they played in Buenos.
Yeah,
they're really different, aren't they? This is a different version of the Argentina. They seem to be cooking on all levels. They don't have all the things that people say you have to have, a domestic league and all this and that. They just seem to be able to rock up, and they're young, Shawnee. Like this is a young team, and they're still good already. And it just sets up this incredible series for you guys in Australia, where unless Argentina goes to sleep, this should be unbelievably tough.
Yeah. And a week ago after Ellis Park, I know I was thinking, well, geez, particularly in Argentina, didn't necessarily have the best first night against New Zealand. I know I was thinking, well, this is going to be great when they get to Australia. How good! I mean, that's tough, all that we know now. Yeah, they're a good team. It's like they've kept the best bits that Michael Cheika gave them, the physicality, the mongrel, the attitude, all of that, and now Felipe Contepomi has brought the Argentina back to them, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to condescend or disrespect or anything like that, but they're doing what comes natural, having learned the real hard yard stuff that Cheika gave them. Is how I'm seeing them.
Yeah, and they've got that hooker with a back five, Rubiolo, and they have, Pablo Matera playing out of his skull.
Yeah.
Juan Martin Gonzalez,
Oviedo,
Gonzalo behind the pack. I mean, there's some stuff there. I mean, we obviously didn't miss their fly off, but they are ready to take any chance. Just like the Wallabies were at Ellis Park, just you get the ball, go. And the Pumas are like that. They can score from anywhere. Listen, I think maybe the Australia-Argentina match might be the most entertaining.
Let's hope so.
And remembering that they got us the last time they were here, that was 2023, and that last year it was 1-1 over there as well. So they've had the ascendancy in recent times. So I will continue to beat the drum for Argentina. To anyone listens in the lead up to that matchup against the Los Pumas in Townsville, they are excellent. And they're just one ranking behind us on the official World Rugby rankings too. So they're going to be tough.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
There's only one bad news I'll tell you guys. I was on top of Table Mountain. I was hiking across from McLean's Peak to the cable car, and I ran into some Australians, and it was before the match in Cape Town. And I said, "Hey, you guys are here for the rugby match?" And they went, "What rugby match?" And I said, like, it's happening right there. I pointed to the stadium and I go, "Oh yeah, we heard something about that. Didn't they play this last weekend?" And I said, "Yeah, they did. You didn't know the results?" And they said, "No, what happened?" I said, "Nah, we beat you guys badly."
Hang on. Were they Tasmanian?
They
had to have been Tasmanian.
Were they South Australians?
They were Victorians. They tried to teach me all about AFL for the next 30 minutes as I gave the woman a beanie because she was freezing to death.
That's unbelievable, but not entirely surprising when it comes to Melbourne. Just quickly, Harry, I love hearing you talk about Cape Town because I was lucky enough to do 2 or maybe 3 sevens events there, and it is just the greatest city.
What a vibe.
It is so good, and obviously the power of the Aussie dollar against the rand is quite strong. I think it's still pretty strong. It's just Cape Town is just the greatest. Stellenbosch, Franschhoek, all those spots just epic.
And it's corners and you go around coves, right? So if you go to the 12 Apostles and you just go through Llandudno, Hart Bay, Northhook, and you can just keep going. Each little village is its own village. And in that way, it kind of reminds me, Shawnee, of Sydney in that, it's built around the water and you can kind of just, each neighborhood is its own little world. So
do you have the same traffic chaos?
Well, if you're going to go on the end, so if you on the highways for sure, but there's always back ways, right? There's sneaky ways around. So every Australian that I saw there were just having a great time, including the Wallabies, because they could kind of relieve. They'd won in Ellis Park. They left the sort of encampment of Johannesburg, and people could just wander around, and so they were having good times. And I think in general, this is maybe a point not covered that much. Is it feels like a happy team, and everyone has different theories about that. Some people think it should be tougher, tighter, and that's who wins. I don't know, but I think Australians, as sportsmen, like to have fun. And it looks to me that this team is having fun again. It's not so beaten down and gloomy like it was a while back.
Oh, yeah, they've come a long way in 2 years, less than 2 years. They've come a long, long way.
And that's you mentioned Michael Hooper. It must be cool for him to see a playing group that he's played with, most of them, finally now doing all the things that he was trying to do with that team.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, he has said his body just sort of said no, but I just wonder what it looked like if his body had said yes and he got a chance to work under Joe Schmidt. What life might have been like. He was obviously he spoke, and what was it? We did lunch together recently where he's spoke openly about how high opinion he had of Dave Rennie, and then obviously things didn't work out in that interim period with the other guys. So with Eddie, it's interesting to think about what it might have looked like with him under Joe.
Yeah, and if he was doing it on Saturday, he would have been take the 3, mate. Suddenly, with perfect tunnel retro vision, Michael Hooper, he's all about taking the 3. I love it.
Yeah. I don't want that. I don't want to set that to sound disrespectful for me and the other guy. I was just stretching, but no, Eddie. It's obviously life was different under Eddie, and you're right, Harry. They look happy and they're playing some great footy at the moment. I mean, I love that you touched on the point there of how well they played in monsoonal conditions in Sydney. We were. And the numbers will support this. We have been previously a dreadful wet weather team.
Yeah,
dreadful. Just through a multitude of factors, it just didn't work for us in the wet. Now though,
and then looks like a nation of rain and playing in Newcastle. Forget it. That just did not work at all. So
no, they look really comfortable hands-wise. Obviously, it was a night that people were going to drop the ball every now and then, but it looked like they were more sure-handed than the Boks in the same conditions.
Tell me this, the stadium there, obviously when I was doing the games where it was the South African Blitzboks playing against pretty much anyone over there, and they come in from the waterfront, those areas around, and they'd fill the stadium for that game and the noise when they come out with the flames going. How I tried to describe it in coverage the other night, but it's hard to adequately do it. But I think a wordsmith like you can really set the scene for the 8-9 combo listeners.
So it's a beautiful stadium, obviously, from where it's sited. There's a golf course, right around it, in Mully Point Lighthouse, the Green Point. from certain vantage points inside the stadium, which is this perfect circular sphere. You can see the top of Table Mountain. There is incredible concourses, much like the Sydney Stadium, the new one, Alliance, where you have plenty of room to take a leak, get a beer, chat with friends. Some people watch the entire game in those concourses because it's so nice to just hang out. There's a breezeway. There's food trucks all around, and beer gardens, but you can come from 3 different directions. You can come from the waterfront, famous, with thousands of other people. You can come in from the pizzerias and the bars and the bistros of Sea Point, a very Tony posh area, or you can kind of trickle down through CBD. And one thing is great about it, there's lots of ways to come in, lots of ways to come out. The crowd, packed, knowledgeable. These people live, breathe, think. I mean, everything. I almost said a bad word there about rugby. I don't know how that would apply actually in this situation, but they are just wrapped. That's the word. With every up and under, every chase, every scrum. The DJ doesn't play Sweet Caroline. They play a proper selection of hits.
Is it even rugby if Sweet Caroline's not played?
and then when it's time to the scrum, they go like ground down the music and just kill it. It's a great crowd. I mean, when the All Blacks came, it was silence for the haka. No ole ole, just silence. Yeah. It's a respectful crowd. If someone's injured, we're quiet. And kicker quiet. So I think, and also for journos, Brett, there's Wi-Fi, LTE. It's amazing. You can communicate with the outside world. Unlike Ellis Park, where you're like, hello, I'll be gone, and I hope I get back.
We need to record in the next 5 minutes that I've got coverage.
Right.
Remind me the capacity. Is it bigger or smaller than Newlands? How big are we talking crowd?
It's bigger. So you're running, depending on how they configure it, 58, 59,000.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And there's not a lot of bad seats. Even the nosebleeds are really not bad. I don't know exactly how they did that. The pitch itself, yes. There's moments. There's a part of the year where it's really tough to keep that turf, rooted. It's just terrible, actually. That was bad timing. But the night was absolutely glorious. And all those Aussies I ran into at the DHL, they were having so much fun. They were just having so much fun.
When we rekindle the travel budget, I absolutely want to get to Cape Town. I reckon the best part of it, Sean, is it's a 5:10 kickoff. Local time.
Yeah.
So,
brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm glad you mentioned that, Brett McKay, because we ourselves will have 2 afternoon kickoffs for both those Argentina games.
Yes.
And there was a multiple run of factors that have led to that early kickoff. So obviously we don't want test matches on 9 up against finals of
NRL finals.
NRL. Makes total sense. Great work, guys. Let's pivot and move the other way. Recognizing that Argentina being played at a core at a nighttime kickoff won't generate the same buzz, noise, or excitement. So let's make it an afternoon kickoff. Shoot Shield's done and dusted. Hospital Cup's done and dusted up in Townsville. It's just going to be, and the Argentinian fans as well. So that combination of things coming together in the daylight, in spring, it's like, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Twilight Games in Cape Town. And thank you to RA for putting together what they've got lined up for the next couple of weeks.
I love that you put that up, Shawnee, about RGs. Their fans, pound for pound, man for man, per capita, ridiculous.
Okay.
I don't know how they can generate so much sound, and it's just wild.
They're in the conversation. They're in this, if I may, Argentina, Fiji, and Kenya. They're your 3.
Oh, interesting.
Don't forget the Kenyan Sevens fans. They will not stop. They will dance and shift and shake and generate so much noise with so few people. They're your top 3, 100%.
A couple of years ago in Sydney, when they beat the Wallabies right on the death, there was and that was at the stadium in Parramatta. So, but there was 2 bays of Argentinian fans down in like the southwest corner or something like that, and they were noisy, but they just lifted through the night. And by the end of the game, it was like a rave. The amount of noise coming out of those two bays.
They know so many
incredible.
songs too, mutual. Like they have a songbook. It's wild. Like they can just keep singing different songs.
It's so good.
Yeah.
A fast deck in Townsville next week. In the sunshine in the afternoon. It could be 45-40. Like it could be 6 tries to 5. Like it could
be, or all 46 men could melt. They could just become masses stuck to the turf in Townsville. Boys, I haven't checked the forecast, but I reckon it'll be high 20s. I know we've only just crept into spring, but I reckon we're looking at high 20s already.
Yeah, it'd be great. Are you excited to call a couple of games on home turf now, having seen the performances we have over the last month? I know
massively.
It's a silly question.
Yeah, it's not a silly question. I'm more excited because all of a sudden there's an expectation now. Let's not get away from that. There's an expectation that the Wallabies should be beating Argentina. Now, the three of us live, breathe rugby 24/7, so we know that that's not easily achieved, but there is an expectation from the general public, the general Aussie rugby loving public, that they beat Argentina in both games. So that's good. I think that there's an expectation now around them, and so there should be. And so there should be that continuation of momentum leading up to those two Bledisloe games.
I guess both teams have a big question mark. One's for Argentina around 10, so Albornoz down. And then for the Wallabies, with Tom Wright playing some of his best footy of his life out. So in both cases, you're wondering who's running the ship. Because, in a way, you almost view Wright as almost running the counterattack. He was almost the general of that. Like the moment to go, now we go, instead of kick. Who do you guys see? Is that Kellaway? Is that Jorgensen maybe shifting over? Is it Joseph Akusu-Suali'i? Who do you think?
I'm torn on this, and I think we're in the same boat, Sean. I think the very, very obvious option is Andrew Kellaway. And I think that's partly because of his rugby brain, partly because of his experience, partly because of his ability to organise at the back and communicate and all that sort of stuff. It's partly because he won't mind us saying that he's lost a yard or two, so he's not as quick as he once was in terms of finishing on the wing. He plays not the same way as Tom Wright, but plays similarly. I'll say that. But then I think we all know that there's going to be a desire to, well, maybe this is the opportunity to have a look at Suali'i at the back in Test rugby. And I'm not sure that I want that, but I know that it's going to be there.
I tell you where you take a look at Joseph Akusu-Suali'i in a 15 jersey. For 17 weeks in 2026.
Preach. Not
with a chance at the Rugby Championship coming up. I am stunned. I would be stunned if it's even a selection headache. You just throw Andrew Kellaway straight in, and you get a similar utility style player. Benny Donaldson probably comes back in from injury. Hopefully he's over his little tweak that he suffered in the lead up to Ellis Park. So Benny Donaldson comes back, he goes bench. Kellaway goes straight back in at 15. Because why would we want to unsettle what we've spent the last 3 months creating?
Yeah, momentum's got to count for something. For the sake of
what? Like why? To me, that makes no sense. We've got continuity of selection finally at 12, 13, 14, 15's been, 11 and 14 have been somewhat interchangeable. Where's Maxi? I forget 14. So 11's been a little bit interchangeable. But the guys that have come in have done a hell of a job. So we've got that all sorted. So let's maybe just put the guy straight in.
It's actually a really good point that you talk about, because from the Brisbane Test to Melbourne, there was 3 changes in the starting side. There was 5 for Sydney, but that was partly injury forced. There was only 1 change from Sydney to Ellis Park in the starting side. There was 3 in
that's very
judgment,
right?
Cape Town. It is. That's keeping a line.
Reputation, and then he has had some criticism about overplaying people because he believes in incumbency. But the value is you one mind, and we were all saying as Bok fans, we're in 2 minds here. We're trying to play. Tony ball, but we're trying to do kick chase. The Wallabies came in and there was absolute clarity on how they're going to play. So that makes sense. I want to shout out to my boy Tane Edmed at Ellis Park. I WhatsApped him and I said, that when that try was scored, they announced it in Ellis Park that you scored it. I said, and now Tane Edmed. And he's like, no way. So I played him the clip and he was like, that's genius. Because he didn't even get on the field.
Poor guy didn't even get on the field, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Joe Schmidt drops in the press conference, it's his birthday today too. He didn't get on the field, but
so he does play in Cape Town. And I just want to say, in live, you can really pick this up, as you guys know. I mean, he got crunched a few times. That's a tough boy. He took one on the air that was Herculean, I wrote, and he just got completely obliterated. And he was up again. And so it was great to see him out there having a go.
Well, that's back-to-back performances that are good as well, Brett? So he was very good he was probably the best player on the field, to be honest, in that AUNZ game against the Lions. Yeah. And he was really good off the bench the other night in that disrupted backline. I thought he was tremendous.
Yeah, and we've definitely talked about this because there were times where he and O'Connor were sort of not getting in each other's way, but they were both like, "Are you 10? Am I 10? Are you 12? Like who's?" And they made it all work, and there was a lot of rotation of characters. I'm sure Kells was playing 12 and 13 at different points as well in that whole reshuffle. So yeah, to be able to make it look like there was a bit of order amongst the chaos, that's the sign of a good playmaker, I think. So yeah, good signs for Tane Edmed. It's going to be
it's going to be fun to see guys like Max Jorgensen up against these crackerjack Argentina wingers, man. And 15 Malia is just untouchable right now, and he's going to have a nice test. I do think that outside Australia, we're all looking at Max Jorgensen and going, whoa. With this guy, he looks a little bit like an Australian Louis Bielbieri.
Yeah, and even that's interesting, Sean. And we've mentioned this. I've talked about it. He switched wings. He switched wings from the Fiji test to the first Lions test. He and Potter swapped, and so now he's good.
Is he really 20 years old? I want to see a
he's 20, mate. He's 20. He's 20, and I tell you what, he's stone cold. Like he's got the most unflappable demeanor of any young kid I think I've met across my last 16 years of doing this. So he's stone. He's a winner. He's stone cold. Humble. It won't go to his head. Yeah. It won't go to his head. He just doesn't have that in him. He's just like, cool.
It's great.
He's not disrespectful. He's not disingenuous. He's just so measured. He's such a great young human being. A big few, like obviously he's already hit heights that we could only dream of, but long term he's just going to be something else altogether.
Absolutely, mate. It's been fantastic as it always is. Really enjoyed this. It's been great to go through how we ride the highs and the lows, and for you to sort of take us behind the curtain and tell us how physical it is. I've heard you say on the shows that after a game you cannot sleep, and I absolutely get that. The last couple of weekends I've been going on an hour or two at best of a Sunday. So
mate, you were screaming into a blanket.
I did.
That was very sketchy.
Screamed into a blanket for Harry Wilson's try, second try. I screamed into a blanket. Yes, I really did, mate. Thanks so much for catching up again. It's been great. We'll do it again soon enough. I'm sure.
Let's ride this train for as long as we can, boys. Let's ride it as long as we can.
Beat those Aussies. Cheers, man.
Thanks.
This is the 8-9 combo with Brett McKay and Harry Jones, and mate, so good to have Sean Maloney back on the 8-9. I love the. I know he hates it, but I love those behind the scenes camera clips because we're getting to see more of what I've seen for a few years. I see him in action in commentary boxes at grounds, and what you see in those clips is absolutely what he is. He's into it. He's told us he often commentates barefoot. He's into it. There's arms thrown everywhere. It's great to see how physical it really is.
Gives you a real appreciation of how small Michael Hooper is next to Shawnee.
Well, yeah, and even Morgan Turunui's not a small guy, but it's dwarfs sometimes.
Sean's a mountain of a man and such a nice guy. We get to see everyone that's on this pod for real, off camera, off the record, and he is just as genuine a guy. So it's impossible, even though obviously it was a horrible loss for us Bok fans, it's impossible not to be happy for a guy like Shawnee. We know that he's had to commentate, which is a whole different special of sort of pain to go to the World Cup and absorb all that.
Yeah.
It's like, give him some fun, and to see him in his element, taking a knee, head in his hands.
It's so good.
Really funny, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I'm glad we're able to go back to it. Jeff Parks and I had a couple of beers with Sean in Sydney before the third Lions test, and we're just sort of having a week later debrief after Melbourne and all that, and it was just like, I know what he goes through. I know how much it hits him when it's a real heartbreaking loss. So to be able to share a bit of his joy is just so cool. I was genuinely happy for him in that moment. It was just so cool.
Yeah, we're thankful for Shawnee being a friend of the pod, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. No real games of the week, as we know. No rugby, no international rugby, I should say, to speak of. We've mentioned it several times. There's grand finals all around Australia this weekend. In New Zealand, Taranaki and Hawke's Bay both lost last weekend, leaving Canterbury as the only undefeated team in the NPC after 5 rounds. In the Curry Cup in South Africa, it's
Boland.
It's Freestyle. It's Boland. It's the Griquas out in front. The Western Province, the Lions, the Bulls all lost in round 5 as well. So it's South African rugby's been turned on its head right now in the last fortnight.
It's wild. Yeah.
Been a rough time.
The big four, or sort of the big three, really big three, is not competing in the Curry Cup this year.
Big four has been sawn off the legs a bit this year. It's been interesting to watch. So yes, no post-mortem obviously this weekend. We'll be back next weekend. I'm going to enjoy no alarm going off at 1 a.m. That's the big takeaway from this weekend. But anything else that we need to throw in here right now?
No, mate, we good. That was a great one. Let's put it in the books, stick it out there, and everyone subscribe.
Absolutely. Everyone enjoy. That then is another great episode of the 8-9 Combo done and behind us. Our sincere thanks to Sean Maloney for joining us. Tell us what you think by following Harry and I on the socials, following the 8-9 Combo on the socials. You can have your say on the YouTube channel. You can have your say on Spotify. We'd love to hear from you. We try and come back to you as much as we can, except when there's 30,000 views on the YouTube comment and there's about 500 comments. We're not going to get through all them, but we do love hearing from you. So get in touch. Shares, ratings, reviews, all of that. It's all very, very welcome and very appreciated. This is the 8-9 Combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realize you needed in a rugby podcast. Shawnee is now back in the closer. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones, and we will be back in your ears next week.
Come play with us.
Here goes Jones with another bruising run. He links up with McKay, who pops back to Jones. They can't. They won't. They will. What a try. The Dream Team Combo go in again.